Welcome back to Elevation 44, where we learn how to master our energy, and we do that through three main areas: spirituality, astrology, and holistic living. It's your girl B. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And of course, family, if you're returning back, I'm so happy to have you back with me today. So today we are continuing a series that I kicked off a little while ago, which was all about the hidden elements of the natal or birth chart. I renamed it now to Understanding the Natal Chart because these are just like the different facets of understanding it. But I still believe these are areas that people tend to gloss over when they're looking at their natal chart, things that they're not paying attention to that can give major personality insight. So today we're diving all into part 2 of this, which is chart types. So we're going right into the chart types. Now, if you're asking yourself, like, what is a chart type? Or if you're even new, let's just hold on, like back up, stop, pump the brakes. If you don't know what a birth or a natal chart is, I encourage you to go back to my previous video and just kind of catch up there. I'm gonna go ahead and link it somewhere up here and link it down in the description box. I have a video where I talk about all about how to find your career on your natal chart or your birth chart, and the first 15 minutes of that video I really spend breaking down and going over what is a birth chart, what does it mean, and everything like that. So if you have not seen those videos and you don't know what I'm talking about in this moment, stop this video and go back and watch that, okay? And then you also probably want to watch part 1 of the series, which talks all about qualities and elements, okay? So that is also going to help you navigate and have a deeper understanding of the energies at play in your own personal natal chart, and a lot of insight to your own personality and your quirks and your strengths and your weaknesses, okay? So we're diving into chart types today. If you're ready, come on, let's go. Let's get into it. I have a good bit of information, but I don't think that this video is gonna be too lengthy. I say that every time, and then the videos are long. So I'm gonna just zip it just in case, because this video might be long, but I'm hoping that it's not going to be. I just wanna get right to the point. So, a chart type, okay? So going back to the chart types. A chart type is basically the shape of your chart. So again, going back to this visual image of our chart, which I'll pop in on the screen, we're looking at our circular chart, which looks like a pizza with 12 slices, okay? Our natal planets, which are the planets that were positioned in a specific place at the time of our birth, fall in different areas on the chart, and everybody's natal chart is unique and different, okay? Everybody's natal chart looks completely different with planets falling in different signs and different houses, okay? So the chart, the way that the planets are falling in the chart actually gives you a lot of information or insight into your own personality and your own quirks, and again, your strengths and your weaknesses and stuff like that. And a lot of people don't pay attention to how the shape of like where the planets are falling and what that indicates, okay? So today we're gonna go through there's 7 chart types. And I just made sure I had to count it just to make sure I have the right number. But there are 7 shapes, general shapes of the chart, and each one means something differently. So let's go ahead and get into the first one. And I'm looking down at my notes as always, because you guys know I have lots of information written and I don't want to miss a beat, okay? So the first chart type that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to continue to pop visual images in here so that you guys can keep up and see exactly what I'm talking about. But the first chart type is the splash, okay? So the splash chart type is when planets are scattered into all 12 houses. So it's basically like someone just took the planets, shook them up, and just threw them on the chart, and they just fall in all these different areas. So they're just literally scattered throughout your entire chart. Now, what this chart type indicates is that the person has many interests in life, but scatters his or her energy. So if you are a person that you look at your, your birth chart, your natal chart, and you see that your planets are literally just spread out all throughout the chart, then you could probably identify with your energies being scattered in many, many directions. So the most important thing for you to remember is how to balance that, right? How to counter that. So you're gonna have to like really dive deeper and be able to try to hone in and focus on specific elements at specific times. So that is something to keep in mind if you have a splash chart. Now, the second chart type that we're going to talk about today is the splay, okay? And the splay is similar to the splash, but there is at least one stellium in the chart. And what a stellium is, in simple terms, is that there are three planets, at least three planets, clustered in one sign. So let's say you look at your chart, and in your chart you have Mars, Mercury, and I don't know, Saturn in the sign of Capricorn. That is a stellium. You have to have at least three planets in one particular sign. So again, the splay is like the splash, where the planets are scattered throughout the chart, but there's one stellium. There's one particular sign on your chart that's holding at least three planetary energies, okay? What this indicates is that the person is usually a strong individual, strong-willed, unique, and doesn't follow the rules. Marches, I can't even say it, marches to the beat of their own drum, okay? They don't follow typical rules and conventions. They blaze their own trail, okay? So this is what this indicates of a person with this chart. The rarest pattern, which is the third chart that we're going to talk about, the rarest pattern is the bundle, okay? Now, the planets in this particular chart type are closely grouped together in a few signs that are all consecutive, okay? So, for example, and I'm going to turn the page on here so I'm looking at the chart types as I'm popping the images here on the screen for you. So the bundle would be, for example, if you have a bunch of planets in, let's say, the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th house. Like, all your planets are clustered in those consecutive houses. They're all right after each other. Or you can look at it in terms of sign. Like, let's say they're all in Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries, right? Everything is clustered together in a consecutive order. So that is really what the bundle chart looks like. And with that, it is the rarest form, because usually most people's planets are pretty, even though they're concentrated in specific areas, they're usually spread out throughout the chart in some way or fashion. So this is a rare type. Now, what this indicates is that the person is usually a specialist, okay? And their interests revolve around one subject and they become an expert at it, okay? So if the splash is where the person is scattering their energies, they don't really have a single focus, this person in the bundle is hyper-focused in a particular area and usually becomes an expert or becomes super focused and like locked in on this one particular area. So that is something to keep in mind if you have this chart type. So the fourth chart type that we're gonna talk about is kind of similar to the bundle, but just slightly different. And this chart type is called the locomotive. Now, the locomotive is a chart type where the planets are pretty spread out in a large number of signs that are consecutive. So if the bundle had everything grouped tightly together and clustered together in 4 signs, right? Or 3 signs or 2 signs or whatever, the locomotive has it's a consecutive order, but it's spread out over more signs. So it may encompass 8 signs, right? Or 8 houses if you think, right back to back to back around each other, right? Now, the thing to keep in mind about this particular chart type is that the planet that starts the train in a clockwise motion, so just think of a clockwise motion, right? The planet that is first in that clockwise motion is the planet that is most dominant or the most dominant energy in that person's chart. So if we see all 10 planets starting, I guess, in the second house, going all the way and wrapping around to the 10th house, or starting in Pisces and wrapping around to, let's say, I don't know, Virgo, right? The first planet to start that train, let's say, is Mars. Mars is going to be the most dominant energy in that person's chart, okay? Now, this indicates that the person has a lot of drive and energy. No matter what planet is starting off, the shape of the chart indicates that that person has a lot of drive and energy. This dominant planet will give an idea of what the person is strong in, okay? So let's say that dominant planet or that dominant thing that starts off the entire train is the moon. Your strongest thing is your emotions, tapping into the subconscious, going beneath the surface, feeling, you know, that's going to be your strongest energy, and it's going to be kind of your most dominant force, okay? So that is the locomotive. The fifth chart type that we're going to talk about is the bowl, okay? Now, the bowl is also similar to the locomotive, where we have a consecutive number of signs or houses holding planets, but this is typically only 6, okay? So create a bowl shape, because if you're talking about our, you know, we have 12 signs, we have 12 houses, to cut that in half, to create a bowl would be 6, encompassing 6. So I hope when you guys see these visual images here, this makes sense and translates to you. But the bowl, again, is where the planets fall consecutively in 6 signs and has the shape of a half circle. Now, the person here is usually thoughtful and self-contained, just like a bowl, right? A bowl contains whatever it's holding, whatever liquid, whatever it's holding. This person is thought to be of that same nature, okay? Now, the 6th chart type is very, very similar to the bowl with one slight difference. So the 6th chart type is the bucket. And the bucket is literally, it looks like the bowl, where all the planets are clustered in 6 consecutive signs, but there is one planet hanging out on the opposite end. Okay, so what this signifies is the bucket. The bucket will be, you know, the 9 planets in consecutive order, and that one planet that's on the opposite end from all the other planets is considered the handle. Okay, it's the handle of the bucket. Now, the person here tends to have a single drive mind towards achieving a goal. They put their energies pretty much and direct it all in that one direction. The planet forming the handle often indicates the goal or direction that they choose to pursue. Now, I have, my chart is a bucket shape type chart, okay? So all of my planets pretty much fall in, I would say, the 6th through the 12th houses. And then I have one single planet, which is the moon, hanging out in my 3rd house in the sign of Aries. So my singular focus is all lunar, right? It's emotion, it's lunar energies, and I'm very, very much impacted by the lunar cycle. Hence, what I'm doing here on this platform. You see the moons in the background. You know, I'm doing my full moon videos and the rituals, and everything that I've done has been born out of lunar energy. So that is a good example of what it looks like to have a single focus when you have a bucket shaped chart, and then you have that one single planet that is the handle. And the official term for that planet, that single planet hanging out over there, is called a singleton, okay? So you would just have to look at that one particular, you know, planet in your own chart if you have this chart shape, and figure out what that single focus is. And I'm sure a lot of you will be able to resonate immediately once you look into that, okay? Now, the 7th chart type and the final chart type that we're going to talk about today is called the seesaw. And this is when some of the planets are clustered together on one side of the chart and the rest are clustered together on the other side of the chart. So if you just think about what a seesaw looks like on a playground, it's like, you know, the two sides. So it's clustered on one side and clustered on the other side. And again, I'm putting in an image so that you guys can see this in real time. Now, what this indicates is that the person is always able to usually see two opposing sides or viewpoints. They're able to weigh both before making decisions. So this is a good indication of a person that has pretty good balance. They can see both sides of the coin, okay? So they have that cluster on one side and that cluster on the other side. It kind of gives them a perspective from both ends. And so those are literally the 7 chart types. And hopefully this video isn't too long and hopefully you guys got all of this information. But I wanted you to have this because I don't feel like anyone really talks about chart types. And I don't think anyone really understands it or pays attention to it. And it's very, very important because this helps you understand yourself better. This helps you navigate your journey better. And I mean, ultimately, that's what we want to do is empower ourselves with information so that we can really navigate this thing called life and take our personal power back, okay? So that is all that I have for you today. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. You are always welcome to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next video.